Okay, so now we're live. There is like a small time difference between our teams and the live on YouTube. So I will just check with Fanny if they can hear all of us, and if there isn't any trouble on this side. Can you just talk, each of you talk a little bit so I can check if we can hear all of you?
If I turn on my microphone, it's better.
Thank you.
So do I. If you could.
Hello, hello. Is it working?
It seems everything is fine.
Okay, perfect. We can hear everybody. Great. So we can maybe wait 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, so everybody have time to connect and find the right link, and
Cool.
we can start.
Can you share the link, Margaux? Because my daddy was asking about it, but I'm not with him, so I don't know.
Yeah, obviously. I will share to you in the chat of our teams.
Cool.
Chat.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so some people are starting to connect. Maybe before starting the talk, each of you can talk about their their latest news, like maybe Mr. Slifi, the latest book you just published. If you want to talk about that before we can start. I don't know if you hear me well. Oh, Okay.
No. Don't really look like.
Sorry, yes. Do you want me to talk now about, is it starting or is it just to have a talk before this?
Yes, just to have a
beginning
small
of the
talk before.
talk?
Yes.
Yes, the first book is about unlock the economy and the economic in the sense of economic theory, which means introducing CSR and social impact in the economic teaching. So how do you change your teaching by taking into account the social and environmental impact? Does it change just because you add a new lesson, or does it change each lesson?
Okay, really interesting. Thank you. And maybe Camilo, you can talk about your current research, and we will talk about that later then, but just before the
Okay.
talk.
Perfect. So my research actually is about entrepreneurship and innovation, but more focused on forestry sector. Why? Because forestry sector is a very traditional activity, economical activity, and nowadays we need to improve our different industries. We need to improve the efficiency, the capacities, the employment. So entrepreneurship and innovation can be two keys in order to improve industry, forest-based industry. And bioeconomy in Europe nowadays is very important in order to the green transition. So, well, I think in order to talk about social responsibility and corporate social responsibility, it's very important to take into account forestry as sustainability, but also because forestry is related to rurality, to rural areas in which many people is actually living, but many people is actually going to cities, and it's about social responsibility too. So finally, forestry sector is very related both socially and green responsibility.
Okay, great. So for the people who are joining us right now, we are just talking about the projects of each speaker, and we will begin the talk in like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Just the time for Martina to talk about her entrepreneur project.
Yeah, it's at some point Camilo introduced it somehow, because what I want to do is democratizing this connection. And I want to do it in rural areas in which the economies right now are going slower because people is leaving, there is not much opportunities. So we are responsible now to create these networks in these rural areas to have the chance to create their to make their to dynamize their economies. So I want to do it through digital disconnection experiences in these places, because rural areas are normally linked to natural reserves, always really greenish and really chill and charm places. So yeah, trying to create, because I feel it from my own skin. I do come from parque, like a national park, de la Sierra de Guadarrama in the north of Madrid. So yeah, trying to create these experiences there and democratizing this connection while dynamizing rural economies. This is MC Studio. Trying to reach.
Okay, so thank you. And I think we can start now, if that's okay for you, if everyone is ready.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's go. So welcome everyone. Thank you for taking part in this EELISA innovation talk. Today we will discuss together how can innovation support corporate social responsibility. And to this end, 3 speakers will share their views on the subject. So welcome, Mr. Slifi. You are a full-time lecturer at University Dauphine PSL, where you teach industrial economics and macroeconomics. You have recently published 2 books, and the first one deals with the analytical tools that should be introduced in the teaching of economics to consider the exhaustibility of resources, biodiversity, and climate change. So thank you for your presence. We have Camilo Muñoz Arenas. You are passionate about creating innovative solutions in the forestry bioeconomy to enhance rural communities and environmental sustainability. And your research promotes entrepreneurship and innovation in these areas. As an assistant professor at UPM, you emphasize active learning and critical thinking by equipping students with practical skills and knowledge for leadership and innovation in their careers. So thank you. And finally, welcome to Martina Sáenz. You are an environmental engineering student at UPM and an entrepreneur. You are focused on creating a positive impact through empowering future young leaders via self-discovery experiences in rural and natural spaces. And you represent students on the executive committee of the EELISA Alliance. So thank you all for your presence, and as you may have understood, I'll be your chair today. My name is Margaux Lamy, and I'm a student at University Dauphine PSL and the founder of Horaé, an ethical communications agency. Martina, you were a perfect link to talk about EELISA and introduce this coalition to those who may not be familiar with it. So EELISA means European Engineering, Learning, Innovation and Science Alliance, and this is the first alliance of higher education institutions from different countries in Europe, meant to define and implement a common model of the European engineer rooted in society. So I think we can now begin this talk by this question. What are the definitions of CSR and innovation according to you? So maybe Mr. Slifi, you can start and we can have your input on the question.
Thank you for your question. It is a relevant question. I'm not kidding, because so many people used to talk about innovation and CSR without even knowing or being aware of the meaning of this phenomena. According to Milton Friedman, a famous economist from the Chicago School, in a famous paper published in New York Times, the social responsibility of business is not it is just to increase its profit. Okay, the social responsibility of business is just to increase its profit. Later, Edward Freeman from the University of Virginia and Michael Porter from the University of Harvard have shown that it was not enough, because you have to worry not only about your shareholders, but also about stakeholders, including workers, suppliers, customers. The Department of Trade and Industry of UK defines CSR as the integrity with which a company governs itself, fulfills its mission, lives by its value, engages with its stakeholders, measures its impact, and reports on this activity. More commonly speaking, CSR can be defined as the way the social and environmental impact of businesses' decisions are taken into account in the strategies of industrial organization. which means deciding the production level, the pricing model, competition, technology choices, research and development investment, globalization, marketing.
Thank you for this input. Very interesting to have this background on the appearance of CSR. And maybe Camilo, you can add something to these definitions.
Yep, I think I just can add corporate social responsibility is about a framework. It's a thinking framework in which we are taking into account social responsibility, environmental responsibility, and so on, economic and ethical. So I think that framework helps us to understand how can we do some things. And this question is about the definitions of corporate social responsibility and innovation, isn't it? So yes. Innovation is also about the framework. It's about understanding which new things we need. What are we looking for improving our societies? So in this way, we need that new frameworks that are going to help us to improve different characteristics, different points of companies or organizations or societies. So in this way, I think that new frameworks can be very precise in environmental aspects or social or economic or ethical aspects. And well, the matter, I think, is, and that question we are going to answer later, but how are we going to develop that new frameworks? No? So that for me, that's the point.
Okay, thank you. Yes, exactly. And Martina, what will be your point of views as a student and entrepreneur?
For me, first of all, CSR, I think it's somehow trying to go beyond like our present commitments, like trusting our vision that we can do some like things better, and trying to define our actions in that direction. No, as young people, we really know that we need something better that we do have right now. So yeah, we need to. It's a lot of having faith somehow, but yeah, trusting that vision that we can do things better and operate more ethically. No, it's a really big word. What's ethical, but trying to do better. And innovation, in kind of short words, I think is doing things differently, but differently trying to create a positive impact. No, like as Camilo said, trying to solve the problems, like checking which problems we want to solve, no? Which are the biggest challenges, because that's something, a point. We can focus on challenges that are not really important, let's say. So yeah, trying to like check which challenges we want to solve, and then solving these challenges in a different way, but trying to creating this positive impact, trusting on that vision, no? That of doing things better and ethically.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for your answers. And I just forgot to mention that if you have some questions for one of the speakers, you can just add it to the YouTube chat, and we have a short period to answer all these questions at the end of this talk. So that leads us to the second question of this talk. So nowadays, what are the real impacts of innovation and CSR, and the key role playing by these notions, and what would be the perspectives? Maybe Camilo?
Okay, so I think there are two different impacts. By one side, talking about innovation, innovation is one of the main motors, the main drivers in order to improve our economies. That's one of the main characteristics. But also, talking about CSR, I think innovation is also going to change the way we are conceiving corporations, we're conceiving our societies, because CSR is now really concerned about climate change, I may say. So climate change or environmental issues are one of the main matters we have on the table. So I think innovation should guide CSR in order to change our point of view and to improve our economies, but sustainable. And that capacity of innovation to impact in our economies is going to drive in the future, I think. So, well, that's my main point.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Martina, you would like to add something to that?
Yeah, about the impact, and perspectives of innovation and CSR. I think that innovation is not only a tool; it's like the key tool that we need towards reaching like this positive impact. That it's normally and it's standardized somehow by the SDGs, like the Sustainable Development Goals are somehow the framework to do things better, So yeah, the impacts are going in that direction in trying to reach the SDGs to get us closer as we can to this key points, And well, I think that as CSR, like the impact, like it's about amplifying, like the generated impact in corporates. Like we need corporates to include, like to try to join us to do things better. It's not only society, it's not only young people. Corporates have lots of power, so I think that the perspective is there. Like which is the perspective is like everyone trying to help, and the most powerful corporates and structures, not a corporate, like the structures as companies or corporates could be. This is the perspective. Everyone getting into the same ship and trying to go together is the way to properly build something that is strong.
Yes, very interesting. Yeah, obviously. And maybe, Mr. Slifi, do you have a word to end this second question?
Yes, on the side of innovation perspective, research and development is now driven by investment in data science and artificial intelligence. Competition is like a race to patent, aiming at obtaining a higher market power, increasing prices above the marginal cost. One of the pitfalls of innovation now is techno-solutionism. I'm referring to Evgeny Mozorov's bestseller, To Save the World, Click Here. Okay, I think it's the end of a cycle, the cycle of the Californian dream provided by the Silicon Valley. Now we need to... I don't like the way, for example, Elon Musk invests his money in projects in space, okay? I prefer Yann Lequin, for example, who is the CTO of Meta, the French scientist, and I think he's right on the point that when he points the limit of generative artificial intelligence, and when he said that artificial intelligence should be driven by goals. The question is how is deciding, who is defining these goals? I think these goals should be democratically defined. For instance, when you side to optimize the energy use of a smart grid or smart city. You need data analysis, you need business modeling, but you need also governance. So that's a big issue. On the side of CSR, the pitfall is greenwashing, of course, and carbon offsetting. You know, maybe about about offsetting that there is a study published in 2022 by The Guardian, which has shown that 90% of the rainforest carbon credit don't represent any real carbon emission reduction. They have chosen scenario. They have overestimated the risk of deforestation, and the more you overestimate the risk of deforestation, the more trees you can claim to have saved. So to make it short, we are all saving the same tree. So offsetting is not sufficient to reach the goal of carbon neutrality, and that's why we need innovation, we need engineers, and we need to innovate.
Yes, thank you. If I just make a small conclusion to what's been said here. So CSR, according to the CSR, so innovation is going to change the way we are conceiving companies. So innovation is the key tool we need to tackle climate change, but we need to take into account the limits of the artificial intelligences and other tools we have at the moment, and warning to obviously the greenwashing that is very present right now. So for the next question, we saw now that there is two strong notions here, so CSR and innovation. We saw that they have their own definition, but what would be the links between these two notions? I don't know, Martina, if you would like to answer that.
Yeah, I will come with an example, and EELISA Alliance is example. As you just said, governance is key also, no? Governance, which for me means like creating these networks and creating these collaborations that could give best practices and good practices. So I think that EELISA Alliance is somehow creating these good practices, because it's a corporation, it's 10 universities that are trying to grow together and to build a bigger network to do this big, like to create these these good practices. So I will come with a story. I knew EELISA 4 years ago. I was a student. I was a third-year student, and I received an email saying that they were launching 30 new contracts, 30 new internships inside university. And when I checked them, and all of them were super cool, because it was like climate change, political and democratic researching, green urbanism, living labs. So I was like, oh my God, I do love them all. So EELISA came with these new challenges, like giving the engineers the possibility to do hands-on work somehow, no? And doing it inside of university, which is our own ecosystem. And in our own ecosystem, everything is kind of easier, no? Because if I have any problem and my boss is a professor, I won't have any problems saying, hey, I do have this problem, can you help me? Or if I need a collaboration, I do have lots of mates I could ask to find some help. So, which is like where both of the concepts meet. For me, is creating these governance structures as these university alliances. that help us build these good practices, and for sure important, share them. And this is something that EELISA is also doing, because there is right now around 50 alliances like us, and the European Union is investing lots of money, and they are keeping on track. They will keep on doing it. So I think that is a really nice way to create CSR, and it's going to keep on going.
Thank you for this example. I think it's clearer for everyone to have this this practical example. Yes, indeed. Maybe Mr. Slifi, what would be your point of view on this on the link of these two notions?
Yes, when you look at empirical studies, there is a positive correlation between innovation and CSR. This correlation does not mean that it is directly connected, but at least they have a common background. They grow on the same soil. How to know whether CSR is driven by innovation or innovation driven by CSR? CSR can be seen as an opportunity for innovation. It is the promotion effect. It's called like that. Firms which are socially and environmentally responsible have a high propensity to innovate. According to Porter, adopting CSR behaviors can be considered as a differentiation strategy, which is a source of competitive advantage in the context of globalization. Customers who are sensitive to environmental issues will be attracted to branded companies which take care or pretend to take care about the planet. So CSR has the same effect as innovation, actually. One of the pitfalls, one more time, could be greenwashing. Of course, that's why we need standard, labels, certificates to assess the real involvement of the firms in fighting climate change.
Okay, thank you. Do you have some examples of the tools you are talking right now, like the labels and everything? Can you name some of them, maybe?
No, I don't have some specific examples, but one of the big issues is to increase, for example, the share produced, the share of electricity, for example, produced by renewable energies. I think 2/3 of electricity is produced by fossil energy. It might require long-term investment. So to put some incentive to firms to use more renewable energy, you have to use reporting and to assess their practice.
Okay, yeah. So thank you. That answered my question. And Camilo, to finish on this subject, maybe.
Yep, I think the point of view of Martina about EELISA is very interesting, because we could make some questions there, like how are we providing value? How are we developing attractiveness on talent? And is CSR a tool? So I think it actually is a tool for that. And CSR and innovation have so many links that maybe just talking about EELISA community, we have a lot of examples, because we are developing new communities in order to think about new entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, for example, or how our students are engaged on climate change issues. And well, also developing a new creative attitude in our students also. So that is going to attempt into new, probably into new business models, because we are rethinking from the basis So I think there are a lot of links. We are looking always how to develop new product or services. For example, I am professor in the circular economy master here in the UPM, and well, our job is to make them to go out of the box. So CSR and innovation are absolutely related. And if EELISA is an example in this way of developing new communities, new contacts, new links between different universities, and to rethink which is the place of the new engineers of the world, of Europe. So there are a lot of things that we can think from the basis and try to change that economy that we have earned from our parents.
I think you brought very interesting inputs. So to sum up, maybe so that CSR and innovation have a positive correlation because they have a common background. So it's important to emphasize on that. And CSR can be an opportunity to innovation because CSR strategy adopted by companies can be a very strong competitive advantage. So it's important to companies today to have this kind of strategy, and that EELISA is a perfect example of to illustrate this question, because it's a tool and it's creating communities and it's bringing a new creative attitude to the students, and we can ask thanks to that, how are we today providing value by CSR and other tools that EELISA is using, for instance. So very interesting. And the next question is linked to the previous one. We saw that this notion can exist by themselves. We saw that there are some links. There is a positive correlation between those two notions. But does CSR necessarily imply innovation? And does innovation align with CSR principle necessarily? Maybe Mr. Slifi.
Thank you. Empirical studies, one more time. When you look at it, there is not only the promotion effect, there is also a crowding out effect. It occurs because of the scarcity of resources. Resources that you are allocated to innovation are not allocated to CSR and reciprocally. So managers are caught in a dilemma of optimizing resources allocation between CSR practices and technological innovation. Actually, you have a heterogeneity of CSR practices, which can be either passive, when it is mandatory or responsive to standard or legal constraints, or it could be strategic, might be strategic when it is dynamic. Moreover, innovation takes place in space and time. The positive impact of CSR activities on innovation requires a gradual process with a certain lag, and it depends on the institutional drivers specific to each country.
Okay, yes, thank you. Martina, you can add your point of view on this question.
It's really nice point that I didn't thought. So thank you so much, Mrs. Slifi. The resources that are going to CSR are not going to innovation. So, because for me, somehow they were mixing all the time, no? It was like, I totally think that CSR was born from innovation. Like CSR was born on how to do things differently, how to take care of the people, of the stakeholders, of the planet. So if we go back to the question, which is like, how was it formulated? Sorry, Margaux, can you?
Yes, obviously. So
somehow?
does CSR necessarily imply innovation, and in the other way?
For me, it's a yes, like a big yes. Like we need to take care, and take care in different ways. Not the ways that we were doing, as Camilo said, not as the way as our parents were doing it, the way that we learned how to. So totally yes, we need they need each other to do, like, to improve and to check where are the new ways to do it.
Before having the input of Camilo, maybe Mr. Slifi, you can tell us what do you think of Martina just said, that for her CSR came from innovation.
I'm very happy because that's the proof that she is an entrepreneur of the future, and I'm very hopeful because of that. And thank you for your answer. So that's a very good point. If you have synergies between CSR and innovation, I think that's the best way to do, and to build your business model, to implement your innovation. Unfortunately, that's not the case for each entrepreneur, but I'm happy to see that you are an entrepreneur of the future.
Yeah, it's totally true that I am an entrepreneur of the future, but I would say before, idealistic entrepreneur of the future. Like someone that is really positive, but somehow it's totally, like, I know that sometimes I could be too positive and a bit unrealistic, but I think that it's totally necessary to as we said at the beginning, like, to trust in this big vision of doing things better.
Thank you, great. And finally, Camilo, to answer this question.
Yeah, I think it's really a difficult question, because we could think on which is the point, the departure point, or which is our framework. Because if we think on small companies, for example, that maybe do not have big resources to do very new things, which is not innovation for them. Which does it mean? I think maybe if they just are concerned about recycling or social issues, like taking care of childs and letting people to start their jobs on after leaving their childs in the school, that's also social responsibility. And maybe for them that's innovation, because they have changed, as Martina said at the very beginning, just doing things is about doing things differently. So they have changed their framework, and they have developed so many innovations, but for themselves. And that's a very big part of the economy. In France or in Spain, small companies are the very big part of the economy. So finally, we could think also in big companies. And maybe big companies have bigger issues to solve or to attempt. So they are going to conceive innovation in a different way. But finally, the concept of innovation changes at every time. But we should think that there are there's a scale of innovation, or how are we attempting CSR in different ways, and we could think that that's CSR necessarily play innovation. Well, yes, I should say not necessarily, but as we have seen, if we change our framework, we're innovating from ourselves. We are changing our minds. And does innovation align with CSR principle? That question, I think, is like Mr. Slifi was saying before. It depends. It depends on the way we are going to use innovation. Because we could use IA in a very good manner, but maybe we could use IA in some not so good aspects.
Yes.
You know what I mean? For example, trying to hack people, for example. That's not something very good, I think. Or the permanent surveillance on people. So that's ways in which innovation is not aligned, absolutely not aligned with CSR principles. But, well, I think Mr. Slifi was saying before, we should promote innovation in good manners from the university, and not to try to offset our emissions just because I'm from forestry sector. So for me, emissions and compensation activities are very important, because finally with CSR, for example, we could revitalize, we could develop dynamic rural territories, and that's a way in which companies are going to use forests to compensate their carbon footprint, and there are good manners to do it. And innovation could help us to find rural areas. Maybe if I imagine, that's something Martina and I like to do. If I imagine in the future, we could imagine some kind of IA based on data, in which we are going to find some depressed areas, rural areas, in which we could invest in order to develop the CSR of a company and compensate their activities and revitalize a rural area, for example. That's possible, and there is a lot of innovation required. I think we could do many things with good innovation.
Yeah, there's many choices with that. Thank you. And all this talk is obviously an ELISA talk, so maybe we can make the link of these two notions with ELISA. How this combination of innovation and CSR can serve ELISA goal. So maybe Martina, as you are part of the executive committee, you can answer first.
Yes, and just a little point about what Camilo said. I think that there is nothing more innovative than being innovative with little resources. So just that. But yeah, I think that what can CSR give to the alliance, no, and innovation. Somehow one of the main objectives of the alliance is also doing in Europe, no, which Europe can be also seen like a cooperation, because it's also a joint point for many countries and everything. So ELISA is trying to do Europe in different, like in innovative ways, because we are trying to create this creating first of all the main point, which is a European engineer learning, innovation and science alliance. We are trying to build to describe the role of the engineers of the future, And engineers in the future means like is people that it's really high prepared, well prepared, like their studies are high education studies, so they are probably going to be the leaders of the future. So we need the leaders of the future be focused on trying to create a positive impact, and trying to put their efforts, their knowledge, their wisdom, and their energies in solving these challenges, not only in what was being done in the past, like building big projects, that they are also like these big projects are creating a lot of impact. But if these projects are creating a lot of impact, which at the same time are taking care of the planet, are taking care of their surroundings, like asking society what society needs. So I think that this the EELISA Alliance is a mix of all of these things, because it's creating the network, defining the roles we need towards these objectives we need to build. So I think that I kind of replayed well, which how can this combination lead to the how can this combination serve to the EELISA goal? It's creating a really nice path that right now we are building the highway step by step, but EELISA is somehow building it's building the highway. Right now it's under construction, but we are building a highway to have for this for CSR and innovation, driving fast straight to the goal. And we said that we need to know which is the goal, but we have really good ideas on that, and SDGs are a really nice framework.
Thank you, very interesting. And maybe Mr. Slifi, you have an idea on these subjects too?
Yes, I attended the last workshop about circular economy organized by EELISA, and it was really interesting. We had lots of topics, lots of use cases. Circular economy, it is a relevant topic for innovation and CSR, and the way you have to combine them. It means getting rid of the classical scheme of linear economy, which exploit exhaustible resources to produce commodities that are consumed and burned as waste. It means creating a virtuous loop between consumption and production, fighting programmed planned obsolescence through sharing economy, including business models based on leasing instead of exclusive property right. You have the commons, common goods, which are different from public good and from private goods. So that's a really good fit for innovation. A good example can illustrate the synergy between innovation and CSR. It's a startup carbon farm created by an alumni from the École des Ponts et Chaussées, which was 2.5 million euros last winter. They help decarbonize rice farming in a transparent way. They leverage satellite and artificial intelligence to monitor and certify large-scale decarbonization projects. So I think that kind of use case can be a good example and good topic for educational project and research project.
Thank you. And maybe Camilo to finish on that.
Yep. So here I have a personal story.
Okay.
because when I finished my first studies as forest engineer, I had a question in mind. It's about how forest owners can make their forests more sustainable. And because managing a forest implies a lot of money. And the answer for me, of course, was about developing products and services related to forests, but of course, having in mind that forest should be sustainably managed. Okay, so if we develop that kind of products or services from the forests, like tables, like many things we can do with a good, like buildings, we can develop sustainable societies too. So how can CSR and innovation ensure the transition toward sustainable development? Well, having in mind that we need that new products or services, but sustainable products, finally. So from the EELISA point of view, I think we are developing that. We are developing that framework in which students are going to think about recycling or think about their campus, in which they are going to do things differently. Or because recently in Spain we had a hackathon in which students should rethink their campus. And of course, we need to develop that kind of frameworks in which they are thinking as engineers, which are the needs of the campus, which are the needs of the universities or the societies. And because finally, that will be, as Mr. Slifi said before, that will be added value for companies also. So yes, of course, we are developing that frameworks, and that's creating new products, reducing emissions, recycling, or using new materials, and all that needs new investments that companies are always doing in order to innovate, to find that new products, that new materials. So sustainable development needs absolutely that two notions, that two ideas, always in mind to change. Also, I'm talking about materials, but we could think also, do I really need that my employees can come always to our place of work? Can we reduce emissions and make their lives more comfortable, because it's the well-being also? Can we make all the people to make better and make to be more productive? That it's a big deal in Europe. Thinking in CSR principles. So I think, absolutely, sustainable development needs that two ideas in mind. Have that ideas in mind. Yeah.
Thank you. So we answer all the questions for this talk. We received a very interesting question, so maybe we can end on this if you want to share your answers. So we understood how CSR and innovation can impact economy, but now the question would be how these two notions can influence the social aspect and the policies, not only the economy. So what would be your input on that?
For example, about society, as I said in my previous example, for students, having if the first touch you have with the industry, let's say, like your first job is inside your own ecosystem, it will be really nice for your mental well-being, for example, because you will feel comfortable, you will feel powerful, you will be like, okay, I'm being useful, which is lately I feel that young people, we are not having the chance to feel useful in our first job. So I think that it's going to be really nice. Also for efficiency terms, we need it in Europe to be efficient, to be able to pay our future bills. So about society, like the impact on society and mental health, well-being of people, as Camilo said, for people to stay at their, like, to be more efficient at their places, to properly take care of their children. I think that the impact not only on the economy, but on the people in general as individuals also, because it's something to take. It's not only about society, it's also about individuals trying to do things differently, but differently in the best way. We need also to know which is our best way, no? And maybe innovation give us the chance or the little time to think about ourselves and what do we need? Because for the moment, no, this society that is going so fast that the challenges are bigger and bigger and complex. Maybe innovation and CSR give us also the chance to think, to innovate in our own little terms.
Thank you. Maybe, Camilo, you have something to add on this social aspect more precisely, and not only the economical?
Yeah, you mentioned about policies.
Yes, that's in the question too, yeah.
Yeah, so in my project, I think, because my project is more related to forests, okay? So for me, policies should be more accurate, more precise. And I mean, for example, to have in mind what do we really want to achieve. Because forestry, for example, has some policies that very broad, and if we were not make more focused policies, we are not going and prioritizing what do we want to achieve. We are not going to obtain real results. I mean, for example, to developing forestry, we need to improve industries, for example. So how are we incentivizing that industry, that renovation of technologies for that industry? Or how are we incentivizing people to stay in rural areas? Because that's our great matters. Because finally, in that rural areas is where our foods are developed, our animals are grown, and our materials, renewable materials, are produced. So if we do not have people there, all that things that we absolutely need in this sustainable transition, we are losing a lot of important things. So I think in that way, policies should be more precise in order and incentivizing for people to stay in that areas, for example.
Thank you.
Just one point.
Thank you. And maybe Mr. Slifi to have the final word.
In economic theory, we define social cost, and we distinguish social cost and private cost. Usually, when a firm evaluates its cost of production to decide which level it will produce, it is the private cost which is taken into account. The way you make them take into account the social cost is by tax, carbon tax, or by carbon price market, carbon market. So that's why we need, just like Camilo said, to regulate their behavior, and we need some policymakers who are very involved in this challenge. And if we had carbon tax, for example, dirty technologies would be less profitable, and it will put some incentive to invest in cleaner technologies with renewable energy.
Thank you. So I think that concludes our EELISA Innovation Talk. Thank you, our speakers, for your precious inputs and all this discussion. And thank you to all the participants. So you can find the video on replay on the YouTube EELISA channel. And I think we can now stop the live, the YouTube live.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.